Hello there, good evening. A quick return for TIGERBITE following our Sunday night Greg Hancock special. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you indeed for supporting the programme. Otherwise, we'd have no one to talk to out there. That would be very sad. I'm Derek Smith. Hope you're having a good week. And joined again in front of the TIGERBITE camera by Speedway Star Glasgow correspondent Brian Copeland. Hello, Brian.
Good evening, Derek. Don't worry yourself. You've always got me to talk to.
Oh, thank you, Brian. It's good to have someone out there for me. Brian, on tonight's show, we will take a brief look back at the Tigers' home win on Saturday night over Scunthorpe Scorpions. And with the cut-off date for the Championship playoff following this Sunday night, we will take a look ahead to what's going to be a frenetic 5 days for riders and supporters of Glasgow Speedway. We're also going to hear from young James Shanes, who's making a long drive up to Glasgow to guest for the Tigers in tomorrow night's Championship clash against Ipswich. And, as promised on Sunday, we'll reveal the winner of the signed Greg Hancock Action print. So lots to get through as ever, Brian. So let's have a look back no further than Saturday night. Scunthorpe came calling to Ashfield, and Tigers, I think it's fair to say, we're back in business.
Absolutely. Yeah, very pleasing result. I think just what we needed at this time of the season. Good confidence booster for the team. And I think for me, a couple of really pleasing aspects. I think it was good to see the heat leaders back on form. I think going into the playoffs, they're going to be absolutely crucial. And I think if they can get back to the kind of form that they had earlier in the season, we're going to be a really strong force again. And obviously it was good to see young Jack Smith as well getting a really good couple of paid wins and probably his best haul at Ashfield for some time, if not all season. So yeah, some big positives to take from that after a few turbulent weeks, and hopefully we can carry that on into the rest of the fixtures this week.
Yeah, I mean, granted, Scunthorpe are second from bottom in the league, perhaps not the strongest of opposition, but plenty of riders who were sharp from the gate on Saturday night, and they were there to be beaten. And as you say, very pleasing. In particular, Jack 6+2, his best score yet for Tigers this season.
Yeah, and with Tom Perry obviously being absent, depending on the guest situation, that could have a bit of a negative impact on the team. So Jack being on form is going to be important. I think any team that goes into the playoffs with a strong reserve is going to do well. So, I think hopefully Jack's now getting into the rhythm of things. He's got over, his crash from a few weeks back that gave him a bit of a knock, and starting to build his confidence again, and particularly at home. If we can get Jack going at home, then we can build up some big leads over teams, and that's going to be vital when it goes to the head-to-heads.
For the second month in a row, young Jack earned the Supporters Rider of the Month award. Congratulations, Jack. And I think that merits our look back to Heat 8 from Saturday night, featuring Kyle Newman and Jack Smith.
Despite Scunthorpe having used their tactical ride, they're still 10 points down as we go into heat number 8, with Josh Bailey going off gate number 1 in yellow, Jack Smith gate 2 in blue, Jake Allen is off gate 3 in white, and Kyle Newman, the Glasgow guest, gate 4 in red. Glasgow may be patched up and depleted today, but they're still fighting hard. Kyle Newman on 4 points so far, Jack Smith on 3 and a bonus, Jake Allen with 1 and a bonus, Josh Bailey on 1, so Kyle Newman likely to start as the favourite here as he looks for his second win of the meeting. Here we go, ready for heat number 8. Bailey, Smith, Allen and Newman takes up, and away they go down to the first turn. Glasgow have made the start. Newman across from the outside takes the lead ahead of Jack Smith, trying to get round the outside. Here's Jake Allen in white, the Somerset Rebels man. He goes for the outside on turn 3. He's locked up, almost falls there on turn 4. Jake Allen back to third place behind Jack Smith. It's Kyle Newman who leads the way, the Ipswich Witches man, chased by Jack Smith up there, looking for his second paid win of the evening in second place. Back in yellow it is Josh Bailey, been in and out of the Scunthorpe side this season due to injuries. With Glasgow on for a 5-1, it will be their second of the evening if they can hang on in front here. Jack Smith under pressure from Jake Allen, the man in white. Kyle Newman's away in front, heading for his second win from 3 rides. Bit of trim hanging loose from Jack Smith's machine, but it's not slowing him down. Jake Allen trying to close in. We're on the last lap now of this heat number 8, and Jake Allen, which side is he going to go? He's going to attack around the outside, coming through turns 3 and 4. He's getting up alongside Jack Smith. They're going to finish side by side, and Jack Smith has just held it. The crowd roars as Glasgow cross the line with their second 5-1 of the evening. Magnificent stuff there from Jack Smith. Well done to him, holding off Jake Allen for second. Kyle Newman is the winner. Terrific last bend there. Jake Allen giving Glasgow a scare. He was right up alongside Jack Smith as they came through turn 4. Looked as though he was going to get through on the run to the line, but Jack Smith just about holding on to take that second place, securing his second paid win of the night. Kyle Newman, the race winner, ahead of Smith. Jake Allen third. Josh Bailey at the back. That's a 5-1 to the Allied Tigers. Glasgow 32, Scunthorpe 18.
Brian, a nice 5-1 on TIGERBITE tonight, and Jack taking the scalp of Jake Allen. That's no mean feat.
Yeah, it's been a wee while since we had one of those on a video, a 5-1. That's quite nice to see. And yeah, it shows that Jack is more than capable. You know, he's capable at this level. He's gone out and beaten guys like Jack Holder away from home this year. Jake Allen possibly his biggest scalp at home. So yeah, these are guys that have been riding, you know, quite a high level in the last couple of years. So impressive performance from Jack.
So that was Saturday night, and I alluded to earlier on, we've got 3 home meetings at Ashfield in the next 5 days, starting tomorrow night with the visit of Ipswich, who of course are currently secured in second spot. Tigers currently in 4th. I would suggest tomorrow night, for me anyway, over the course of the next 5 days, is probably the most important meeting. Not necessarily in terms of the result, but the performance, and I guess continuing that newfound confidence into the playoffs, Brian. Stuart will want the boys to send Ipswich home without too much to show.
Yeah, exactly. It's a chance to lay down a marker. I think that's what Aaron Summers said in one of the press releases that went out. You know, it's a chance for us to show what we're capable of against one of the top teams. And you know, we'll just have to wait and see whether or not we can still catch Ipswich and get into second place. That might, you know, maybe beyond us. It might not, just depending on how the week goes. I've not done the maths, so don't ask me about that one. But you know, like you say, it's possibly at this stage more about going out and showing what we're capable of, and I think that's important. Maybe putting a little bit of doubt in their heads. You know, if we end up drawing them in the playoffs, you want them to come here, you know, a little bit worried about what we could do to them. So that's the plan of attack, I think, and I think that's what the next few days are all about.
I'll comment briefly on the maths, given my 2 minutes research, Brian. I understand if Tigers can win our 3 home meetings over the next 5 days, Ipswich don't leave with any points tomorrow night, and Tigers can take something, a win, at Armadale on Friday, and we'll come to talk about that in a minute. We might sneak second spot from Ipswich. So it's a tall order. The meetings between both sides so far this season have all been fairly close, and I think in those meetings the top end, by and large, have cancelled each other out. 2 sets of strong heat leaders, of course, and perhaps that puts the spotlight on the reserves more than anything on tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, sort of recall the last outing, you know, against Ipswich, and you know, Danny King, Rory Schlein, you know, capable guys at the top end of their team, like you say. There, you know, I think we're fairly even in those departments. It might come down to the reserve berths, possibly the second strings. Obviously, we've got James Shane's guesting tomorrow night in place of Tom Perry, and his first ever time at Ashfield, you know, but as we've seen, he's been holding his own in the Premiership this year and his first season there, you know, and that's down at reserve as well, which is no mean feat, as we've seen for some other guys struggling there. So he could be a crucial player. We know that he obviously went out and was a match winner for Ipswich against us down south earlier in the year. So perhaps the tables could be turned a little bit, and you know, maybe it will come down to those 2 reserves, and you know, maybe go out, if we can go out and possibly, you know, bag a 5-1 in that heat too. That just sets a little bit of a, you know, sort of a pattern, and hopefully the rest of the guys can follow on.
As promised, Brian and I did catch up with James Shanes just before he set off for Glasgow earlier this evening, and we can hear from him now. So we're delighted to be joined on TIGERBITE this evening from far, far south, where the sun is probably shining in comparison to this part of Scotland, by James Shanes, star of BT Sports Premiership playoff last night. James, did you enjoy yourself at Poole?
Yeah, I loved it. It's been a good year at Poole, and last night was tough, but you know, the boys dug deep. I managed to, you know, I think that's the best I've ridden in a long time around there. So we're slowly finding a bit more form and a bit of consistency again. So hopefully I can pull a few things out of the bag tomorrow for you guys as well.
The track looked interesting last night, and you know, from a rider's point of view, you can tell us how how tricky it was. But from an entertainment point of view, it was superb.
Yeah, the track wasn't that bad. It was very one-lined, but obviously, like you said, the weather's down here has been absolutely, not the best weather. It's been like torrential rain, then like blue sky. So yeah, I was quite impressed. I mean, it was even running, to be honest. But the track was okay for the weather and everything. So made some good passing, made it interesting for everyone.
James, how have you found being down at Poole? It's obviously your first season in the Premiership. It can't be too many better places in Britain to learn your trade than somewhere that's produced so many great riders over the years.
No, I can't really fault it. It's been a massive step up, obviously from National League to like this league now. It's a massive step, but I've enjoyed every minute of it. Matt's been no end of help with not putting any pressure on me. Bidlow's helped me out. Eddie, as soon as Eddie's joined, he's given me so much help and hand, and all the boys there have helped me out with some really like simple advice, but it's things I haven't known because I've only really been riding Speedway. This is my third like full year of doing Speedway, so to be riding for Poole, and that's like the manu of like Speedway really, and it's my local club and everything. So it's just been like a massive dream come true and everything really.
James, we know that on an individual basis, in terms of success and I guess your own personal history, grass track and long track is where you have focused and succeeded. And obviously you're trying to introduce and balance, I guess, a speedway career as well. How have you been finding trying to balance out those three disciplines this year?
It's been difficult. Obviously, I've been riding grass track and long track and all that for nearly 14 years, and obviously being quite new to Speedway, it has its challenges. But we've worked hard with everyone like at Tornado and Jazz trying to get, so they react the same. And I've worked hard with all the frames, and everything is close. I've supposed to get the bike, so swapping between isn't too alien. So I'm only having to work on the actual like racing aspect, not trying to bike and try and remember how the bike rides, and then have to go race. So it's been hard, but I've loved. It's a challenge, and who doesn't really love a challenge?
So James, talk us through how you got into Speedway then, having raced in two similar sports. I suppose a little bit of a natural progression, but how did you actually find yourself racing Speedway full time?
Well, it started out in some of the tracks like that. I was having a mess around when I was little on my grass track bikes around there, and I went to I think it was Rye House, and I was there on my grass track bike riding around, and Len Silver came over and said, have I got a speeder bike and things? And I said, no, but I wouldn't mind having a go on a speeder bike. And Dad knew they hired bikes at Rye House at that time. So that was a bit of a hard bike. I don't know what's going on. And then 10 minutes later, I come wheeling around with one of the bikes, and I was like, what's that for? And he said, I can use it. It's all right. And that was the first time I've ever been on a speeder bike in 250, 15 time. And I jumped straight onto this 500 thing and rattled that round, and then a speeder bike, and then it's slowly progressed on through there. And I went to Coventry with Lawrence Rogers, and he sort of nurtured me in like the MDL, and I think with like I rode Leicester and Coventry pretty much every week, so I was quite good around them two places, and everywhere else was just alien. But through then I started Speedway, and that's basically it. I went back to Len, saw me a couple of years when I finished at Devon, and signed me up, and that's basically where Speedway probably started for me.
You make it sound so easy, James. James, us Glasgow fans probably picked up on your name most earlier this season when you scored 10 points against us, guesting for Ipswich, I believe it was. And as fate would have it, you're going to embark on a marathon trip this evening up to Glasgow to ride for Glasgow against Ipswich tomorrow. Were you pleasantly surprised when the phone rang from Glasgow a few days ago?
Yeah, I was. Matt was saying I needed to get a bit more riding in, like around now with the playoffs and everything. So I was thinking, oh yeah, I could do it. I've got a couple of weeks. I've got a week off here and a week there and that. And when he phoned up, I phoned Dad after, and I was like, do you fancy a trip to Glasgow? And he was like, why? It was like when? So I said, on Wednesday. I said, Yeah, why not? We've never been to Scotland. You know, I've never been in Scotland. We've never been to Scotland, so it sounded like a good idea.
So this would be your first time on seeing the Ashfield track, then, James. It must be quite an unusual thing to turn up. When you've been in Speedway a few years now, to a track you've never seen before.
Yeah, you know, I've a lot of the tracks this year have been quite new as well. Obviously, like Poole's, I've never ridden, and I rode Ipswich once before. I think the first time I rode Ipswich was against Glasgow. But you know, it's one of them things. I'm quite used to learning new tracks because obviously British grass track, you're in a field, so it's all very, the tracks are never the same. So you get there, you get a couple of laps of practice, and that's it. So I've been speaking to everyone that I can think of that's ridden there to try and get the idea of what I'm doing. I've watched a few videos and things, so hopefully I've got a rough idea when I've got to turn left. So
that's interesting. Even a little bit of homework, a little bit of research, James, and I'm sure you'll love it. You'll take to it like a duck to water tomorrow night. I'm sure. James, what's been the biggest challenge to you in terms of adapting to speedway versus grass track and long track?
The gating and getting into corners, obviously grass track and things, you know, even on the 1,000, like European tracks, when the one track starts, we still have sometimes a length of like straights on speedway before you're in the first corner. So you've got a lot of time to sort of work. We've, you know, and obviously a speedway is quite a short run in how quickly you enter a corner, where grass track, you generally you drive into a corner and then, you know, you've got so much room and time to deal with things, where on speedway it's so instant, and you know, and surprisingly the lack of grip, where you know some of the deep sand tracks you're riding, it's ankle deep sand, so I'm used to a lot of grip. So going to some speedway tracks where there's like no grip, I struggle quite a lot with, because I end up just turning inside out, and I'm not used to a lack of grip really.
Yeah, that's interesting, James. It's how have you found adapting to the lifestyle of speedway as well? Obviously, it's quite full on. You've got a lot of travelling, like you're just about to embark on a fairly long journey. Is that something you've experienced as part of your sort of grass track career?
Yeah, well, most grass track meetings are, when I'm abroad, it's 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours that side, or I think the furthest we've done was down to south of France, and that was 13 hours once we're over in Europe, plus the 3 hours it takes me to get to the ferry. So the long distance isn't really the challenge. We've got a nice big Owen Brothers van, so I've plenty of room. I've downloaded some movies, got some DVDs, so that'll do the driving. I'll just sit back and watch and chill.
Poor dad, he gets the hard job really.
Yeah.
Last night, in last night's meeting, James, you had a barnstorming race against Kyle Newman, I seem to remember,
yeah.
and you got a bit close and personal with him halfway through. And of course, both of you will reacquaint on track in Glasgow tomorrow night on opposing sides again.
Yeah, well, I think I'm 2-1 up at the minute in the Puddletown fight this week, so hopefully I can keep it next week.
James, am I right in saying that you were one of the people who came through the Poole Tech training scheme that Ollie Allen's involved with? We spoke to Ollie earlier in the season about the programme, and I think he mentioned you were one of the sort of success stories from that. Can you talk us through what your involvement was with that?
Yeah, that Poole Tech, it was brilliant to be a part of. It's helped me out no end, just with like the fitness side of things and psychology and all the sort of the things you may say not know about with racing, but they're quite a big part of it. And I can't thank Ollie enough for all the little bits of help he's given me with, nutrition and the psychology of all, how to deal with things riding, and just everything he's taught me really since I've been there. I can phone him up now, and that's one of the people I'm about to text and task him, give me a lowdown how to ride Glasgow. So he's been no end of help with every sort of aspect of racing life, and how to sort of keep yourself calm, and how to time manage so you're not too tired when it gets down to racing, but you got everything done. So it's an amazing thing to have been a part of, and to have been part of the first, one of the first people to do it is amazing. And now sadly my time there is finished, but hopefully I can get to see the people come through that have done it, that I've suggested some things to Ollie, and hopefully it works, and to see it progress into something amazing, which English Speedway needs, would be was something I'm quite proud of.
James, we're not too far off the close season period again. Hopefully lots of action, lots of laps for you between now and the end of October, of course. During the close season, do you have any thoughts of sitting down with your dad and having a chat about 2018? And is there any potential to readjust your focus more towards Speedway next year?
Yeah, we've sat down and we've had, we've discussed it several times recently. Major problem is, Dad works full time still, and I do most of the work myself, like bike preparation and things. So, we're looking at doubling up. Whether I double up full time or whether I double up like job share kind of idea, we're not too sure yet. But it's something I'm looking into, and discussing things with like Matt and some other people to try and see, what's the best options of what I can do for next year.
Good stuff.
And of course, you've got a big meeting in 2 weeks' time. We saw the first leg last night that we mentioned, Poole against Swindon. It maybe wasn't the best of results, but a couple of 5-1s in those last 2 heats have put you guys in perhaps a better position than you were earlier in the meeting. Is there still any hope for Poole going into that second meeting? It's going to obviously be tough against a team that were on such good run of form.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. But a meeting in the playoffs isn't really going to be easy. Unfortunately, Timo struggled and so did Jack. So, to be 2 points off and have 2 riders struggling is very good. So hopefully, if we can, all fire at the same time, there's no reason why we can't pull it back. It's only 2 points at the end of the day. So, if we can win by 2 points, it keeps our hopes alive with obviously, having to go for another meeting, or we can, I can't see why we can't win really. Might as well.
James, I know. Sorry, James. I was just going to say, I know you're keen to load the van and point it northwards towards Glasgow and right at the back of that journey tonight. So safe trip to you and your dad, and we look forward to seeing you in action in a Glasgow race bib tomorrow night at Ashfield. Good luck for that, and indeed for the rest of the season, James. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
A lovely, polite, eloquent young man, Brian. I seem to say that quite often. All the riders are very young men compared to me these days, but he comes across very well, and he seems quite self-assured in his own capabilities and his racing.
Yeah, and even though it's only, as I said, it's only sort of third full season doing Speedway, I think it's quite a treat to see him tomorrow night, actually. He's one of the sort of hottest prospects in British Speedway at the moment. For his performances for Poole have been outstanding at times, as we saw on Monday night, for example. He was, a key player for them at reserve. So I think, as I say, it's a bit of a treat to see him round Ashfield. He's never been to the track before, so a rare chance to see someone like him in action, and I think it'll be quite exciting.
And of course, another couple of headline things tomorrow night. Ryan Douglas makes his third successive visit to Ashfield in successive weeks, guesting for Glasgow tomorrow. 9+2 was his tally for Scunthorpe on Saturday night. And of course, Brian, as we were telling the world on Sunday night, we have a visit from a rather special individual tomorrow.
Yep, don't forget that the world champion himself, don't get any bigger than that, Mr. Greg Hancock, is in town and there to meet you guys and just take in the racing. So plenty to look forward to tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a fantastic occasion at Ashfield, and I think people will come along in their numbers, both for a crucial match and also to see Mr. Hancock himself.
And we'll still to announce at the end of the programme the winner, of course, of the signed Greg Hancock Action print. So it tapes up tomorrow night, Wednesday, 7:30 for the visit of Ipswich. Let's trip through the rest of the week, Brian. It's a busy weekend for Tigers. 3 meetings in successive days, starting with a trip to Edinburgh on Friday night for the Friday night. And given the cut-off falls on Sunday night, it's Tigers' last opportunity to take any away points.
Yeah, it feels like forever since we've been at Edinburgh, to be honest. I can't actually remember when we were last there. It's been that long, so it's kind of a strange one. We've not had too many meetings with Edinburgh this season, particularly away from home. So it's kind of hard to predict that one, to be honest. I think our team's changed so much really since we were last there, both in terms of riders' form, riders' development. We've obviously got a couple of injuries since we were last there, so much might depend on the guest situation again, which is going to be absolutely crucial for us over the next few weeks. So a very hard one to predict. We've got guys there. I know Aaron, Richie both go very well round Armadale and have scored big points there in the past. So again, it could depend on who Edinburgh have got. I know that Sam Masters took a bit of a knock for them over the last few days, and I've not heard any news yet in terms of whether he's going to be back at the top end for them. So again, it could depend on who they've got to call in as a guest at number one if they have to. So there's a lot of factors at play, and at this stage, it's kind of hard to say how it's going to go. But crucial match for us and a big opportunity. Really, it's our closest track. It's a track that some of our guys probably know best. So you've got to hope that we've got some chance of going there and pulling out a result.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll travel there, I think, with confidence. But you're right. At the time of recording, we don't know the guest or the rider changes in either camp for Friday night. I'm sure both sides will play down the significance and the importance and the criticality of Friday night. But one thing's for sure, neither Scottish side will want to lose to their rivals.
Well, that's it. And of course, another chance to face potentially one of the other teams that could be in the playoffs. So, that's the next two matches against two sides that we could face in the next stage of the league. So important again, another chance to possibly lay down a marker. And if we can go and win there, then maybe sets it up for later in the season.
So that's Wednesday night. Friday night covered. Let's move on to Saturday night, and all roads lead back to Ashfield. I'm sure all the riders will be staying in local parts overnight Friday into Saturday, and a call to arms for all supporters to turn out in force on Saturday night for the visit of a very entertaining and potentially tough Redcar side.
Yeah, I think when you look at Saturday and Sunday, the two meetings, obviously Saturday night and then Sunday afternoon, Redcar and Peterborough, two really entertaining matches in prospect. Perhaps those two teams they might not have so much to race for. I think some things depend on results this week as to whether Redcar are still in the frame for the playoffs or not, whether they might need to come to Glasgow and get a result. I know that they were certainly still hoping that they could get that fourth spot. But yeah, like you say, it's going to be entertaining. They've got lots of guys throughout the ranks of both teams that are quite spectacular to watch. Probably Redcar, the most spectacular team in the league when you look at guys like Garrity and Barker. So yeah, it's an exciting couple of days in prospect. And again, I think it's just important that we keep the momentum up. That we, as long as we come through Wednesday and Friday, we pick up points in both of those meetings. I think Saturday and Sunday is a real chance to start building up some momentum. We're on home shale, and that should hopefully make a big difference. And if we can end on Sunday night with some of our guys having posted big scores over the next few days, then I think we're well placed again to really attack the playoffs and hopefully come out the other end of it with a trophy.
Absolutely. I think I've read, Brian, that Ben Barker has picked up a season-ending injury. I think I'm right in saying that. So not quite sure what the Redcar lineup will be to compensate for Ben, but rest assured, I'm sure it will be a challenge for Tigers on Saturday night. That's tapes up reverting to 7 p.m. on Saturday night, and then 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoon for the visit of Peterborough. And of course, the club are offering a double weekend special reduced admission ticket, £28 for adults and £21.60 precisely for concessions. Under 16s go free. So that double whammy reduced admission ticket will be available for sale on Saturday night. But Brian, just one thing I would suggest about all of the meetings over this week. Glasgow, Edinburgh, regardless of which position they ultimately end up in, being that second, third, or fourth in the final shape of things, I would suggest they will want to indicate to Sheffield we're going to have first pick. Not to pick either of our clubs, because we will want the forum to suggest that we're on the ascendancy again.
Yeah, it's a good point. Something Sheffield are going to be considering over the next week or two. I don't know when I would imagine the playoff draw will probably be done quite quickly after the cut-off date to allow the teams to start planning in the fixtures. But yeah, that's another important element. Not only laying down a marker against these teams, but also proving to Sheffield that we are back in form. They could look at us and say, well, they won there a couple of weeks ago with a weakened team, so we'll pick Glasgow again. We'll probably want to try and avoid them, I would imagine, until the final, or look for someone else to knock them out even, and do our job for us a little bit. So yeah, that's another important element, and yeah, it's kind of all about the impression that you're giving off at this stage of the season about how good you are.
Well, I don't know about you, Brian. I'm exhausted already covering off all that review and preview activity over. It's going to be a busy week, but one which we've got to get through and bank some points ahead of the curtain falling on the playoff position on Sunday night. So just a couple of things to round off. We promised to announce the winner of the signed Greg Hancock action print, courtesy of Glasgow track photographer Ian Adam. Thank you, Snapper, for the donation, and pleased to confirm the winner as Michelle Davidson. Congratulations to you, Michelle. Thank you very much to everyone who responded to our post on Sunday and commented and shared the TIGERBITE with Greg Hancock. Michelle, we will get in touch with you and arrange to pass on the print to you. Thank you very much. Brian, that covers off all we had to cover this evening. We will be back again next week in advance of course, a very special event at Ashfield a week on Sunday. It's the Championship Riders, or Individual Riders Championship. I still can't quite remember what it's called, Brian, but everyone knows what I'm talking about. And we will bring you folks a special preview of that event on next week's TIGERBITE. So rest up. A lot of travelling to be done, a lot of supporting to be done by the red and white hordes this week. See you at Ashfield tomorrow night for the visit of Ipswich and Greg Hancock. Tapes up at 7:30. Thank you for watching. Good night.
Good night.